So our integration insights here are going to be focused on creating the conditions for successful structures. So our learning together here will be exploring questions for how to measure success. Consider how to create those sustainable structures and supports for MBSEL, how to maybe support through the resistance that may come up, and most importantly, how to become that agent of change. So I'd like to offer these guiding questions for you. So you'll want to have your implementation plan, or at least your draft here, so you can refer back to it. So this first question is really, how do you define a successful implementation? How will you know that MBSEL has been integrated? And even just those small steps, those small goals, how will that look? How will you know that that was achieved? Or the bigger ones, right? And then what would you like to measure? And once you find that out, what tool directly connects to what you want to measure? We've included in the resources section several tools, both for mindfulness, for SEL. There's surveys, there's assessments, formal, informal. So take a look at those different resources and see what matches for you. Something maybe inspires you to create your own informal resource and assessment, but maybe some of the ones that are formal might work for you. How often would you like to take data? And then once you're taking data, who do you need to communicate that with? Is it with your students? Is it with families? Is it bigger to the board or administrators? And as you figure out who needs to be communicated with, which is really your whole learning community, but there might be certain groups of people for this particular implementation step, how will you communicate it? There might be different formats that you might need to consider creating. So now thinking about the sustainable structures and supports, there's really 4 to really hone in on. So first is the approach. Is it from the bottom inward? So like, is that like from bottom to top? So like, is it in the classrooms? Is it teacher-based? Is it from the top down? Is that administrators are starting and embodying, and then that's coming down into the teachers and students and families? Is it organic? Is it optional? Is it required? What does that look like? With the boats, thinking about, are there leaders in that space? So connecting back to the implementation plan and those partnerships, are there other leaders or groups that you can create to create those spaces that are sustainable? Are there model or demonstration classrooms that you have, or teachers and practices? In thinking about the logo there for COSM, are there resources that you need? Who can you tap into? COSM is an amazing resource, and every teacher that has been here learning together with you, you are more than welcome to connect with and learn further. With the bridge, you're thinking about, are there other structures and supports that I'm needing? Are there roles like coaches, climate and SEL coaches? Are there well-being coordinators, wellness and mindfulness coordinators, facilitators, directors? Are there bigger spaces and people and places and structures that are needed? How can you make it sustainable? I do also want to mention, if you do choose to connect with an outside provider, you want to make sure that it is sustainable, because sometimes when outside providers leave, the practices leave. So whatever you do, ask yourself, how can this be sustainable? And if you also choose then that third party, make sure that as you're learning, everyone's learning and making that sustainable. And down at the bottom where it says continuum of experiences, we are all coming from different backgrounds and different levels. So as you are creating the sustainability, how can you create the continuum of learning for everybody who has a different background and celebrate all of those differences? Now, supporting through resistance, first, just take a moment and connect back with yourself, noticing your breath in this space, your body in this space, if you wish, thoughts and emotions. Even just the word resistance can bring different things up. And taking another breath and coming back into the space. I like to think of resistance as a tree. We have our roots and we have what we see, which is the tree and the leaves, the growth, right? All of this is connected to our growth. So when we have resistance, we have those misconceptions, right? So asking, is there a misconception? How can I address this? Is there something that I can do to support? Is it that I can continue to show up and model and be and embody so that I can continue to share that with others around me? The past experiences, different values, different beliefs, even our personalities. This is a very interesting one that I'm also going to connect to at the top where it says messaging on the right-hand side near the bottom. I like to connect the personalities and messaging together. I linked the resource 16 personalities in the resources section because sometimes it's how we're messaging things. And we have to connect with that person and how they receive messages in order to receive messages and connect with whatever it is that we're sharing. So when we can speak to the personalities, then that can be a powerful lens to support into that. And then down below, we also have identity, right? Some people may think of mindfulness and they have already a preconceived notion of it's not for me, I don't see me in this space, which therefore we know we need to be responsive to all of the different cultures, all the different identities, and make sure that everyone sees themselves within this space. Essential. Now, as we move into what we are growing and how we can support into that with our roots as it grows, is really, do we have a common definition together, common language, common agreements, that reason together? Is that common? Have we shared the research behind it to have truly solid foundation of why, especially with adults, knowing that why with research? Is there a personal practice? We know from our learning that when we have personal practice, we experience the benefits. And so that is already a reason for sharing with students. So maybe it's supporting the personal practice of somebody who may not be ready yet to share. So how can we develop that? Supporting the stages of change. I've also linked down in the resources section an article that I had written about how to support through the stages of change. And especially for those who may be coaches or directors or facilitators, that might be a helpful resource to give you a little bit of an insight through that coaching lens on how to support into that. We shared about the inclusive considerations to make sure everybody sees themselves in this space, that it is a strategy, a tool, an approach, a practice for all. Because this truly is an equitable tool that's accessible anytime, anywhere. It's free for anyone. This is a gift that we have to share. And then embodied systems, meaning all of the layers within the system have their own practice, have their own belief as to why this belongs in education, why MBSEL is essential. So now becoming an agent of change. Take a moment in your journal and write down what that means to you. So go ahead and pause this video and just what does an agent of change mean to you? And as we're coming back into this space, what I have on the screen is actually a quote from my children's book, Big Change, Better You, Beautiful World. And since it's a bit smaller on the screen, I'm going to go ahead and read it from my book. This is the last page of my book. because truly this is all about change, and knowing that change is essential. When we can compare that to the butterfly and how within education, it's always transforming so that we can truly embrace our wings of who we are. So I find the butterfly to be such an empowering, motivating, inspiring symbol of change. Whether there is a small change or there is a big change, there is a chance to become a better you. When you look within and love the journey, you can make a more beautiful world. Be ready to transform. It is a gift waiting for you. And I just love this part of my book to just share with everybody. And truly remember to be in the present moment, be grateful, be courageous, and wonder. So as you move into being this change agent, there are different elements within it. And knowing that you can do it, and that it takes that why, that reason, that drive, that purpose, that intention. So we'll do our affirmation meditation here, because your words are powerful and you become the words that you say. Our outer language becomes our inner language. So our 5-step moment, and then moving into an affirmation, mindful practice or meditation, whatever word resonates with you. So settling into the space, choosing how you like your body to be, choosing how you would like your eyes to be, and checking in then with your body, breath, emotions, and thoughts. What is present? And for a moment, I invite you to again bring awareness to whatever anchors you. And let that anchor create that space that's needed, the space for words to be. And thinking about you in this space, what words come up that inspire you to take action, to do this work? And see what words you can capture. Maybe it is inspire. Maybe it is courage. Maybe it is action. I am action. Start adding the I am with it, with words that you see and words that you feel or words that you know. I am present. I am a space keeper. I am mindful. I am me. And letting that fall into your heart. Checking in with your body, breath, emotions, and thoughts. Seeing what words you've captured. And then on your next inhale, opening your eyes if they were closed, maybe looking around the space, grabbing your journal, write those words with an I am, say those words, feel those words as you say it within your body, and then smile and believe it. You can pause this video to do that. So here are our resources to continue your learning. And as always, thank you so much for being you and doing this work. This is so important, and you inspire me, and you inspire your students. Thank you.